So this is in a, yeah, I'll wait for the textures and things to download. Might take some time. There are some sculptees in here. Sculptees are just objects in Second Life which have organic shapes. Well, I'll talk a little bit about that. Maybe in this case you can actually try launching the video, because it's a little bit interesting in the sense that and you will see a movie of a beating heart on the TV screen. So this is actually a generic hospital on a different address and SIM, which we used again for preparedness exercises, and try to have teams in the hospital communicate with teams on the ground dealing with an emergency response situation. And it was actually, I think I'd say it's a generic hospital because it's not based on any real world hospital. Because when we had to start this effort, we had so much resistance getting information about real world architectures. And it's kind of interesting because you would think that people don't really think that virtual environments are useful, but just try to ask them for their floor plans. Then they would start thinking, oh, well, maybe it might be useful, and people would actually use those virtual environments for doing bad things, which actually proves that virtual environments are useful. But it's initially we had to go for generic environments, and that's why we just built a hospital just based on what we think a hospital would look like. And in fact, on the desk, we thought of experimenting and pushing things a little bit away from, not away from, but broadening the spectrum of things that we were looking at. So you can see on the desk, there is a model of the heart on the left of the table. And that's actually what I meant by using sculptures. We created a heart model in Studio 3D, then tried to export the model as sculptures, and then imported it in Second Life. So there are, as you can see, a few issues with Second Life. While you have all these very powerful 3D modeling tools out there, Second Life does not yet allow importing all these objects into the virtual environment. It can be done, but it requires a lot of tweaking and detective work. So we got this model of the heart, and it's fairly reasonable. And you can imagine actually building, courses around, having instead of having models of a patient in the real world, like plastic models, you could actually have virtual models. In addition, they could be interactive, and that could actually broaden your scope of doing things in the virtual environment. On the right of the table, you can actually see the learn sound auscultation trainer, and on the poster you can actually see the same version of the counterpart of this virtual trainer in the real world. So what I did was, when I first saw this poster, I thought that it would be very easy to create a Second Life version of it. And what you would do is you would just select a specific condition and have the students place the mouse cursor, click on the various regions of the torso, and listen to the sounds that they can expect to hear of the lungs. And you can imagine having collaborative diagnostic sessions with students, etc. Those are just like pointers to a lot of ideas, which I think you will have already. Are you able to see what's being streamed on the TV? It's actually a model of the heart beating.
Yes.
That's the 3D Max version of the heart that is beating. Let me know if you can actually see the streamed video.
Yes, we can.
Oh, you can. Okay. So you can actually do the same thing in Second Life by cycling through textures. textures are used for creating those organic shapes. That's the whole basis of sculptures, right? So if you get to change the texture of the sculpture, you could also end up with a beating heart. That's in 3D. So that's something to keep in mind. But let's see if I've got something else to show. Right. And then we have an MRI machine. It's not a high fidelity machine, but it was just to illustrate what other things that could be done. So I'm going to teleport you again. So since I mentioned fidelity, of course fidelity is what you would need to settle ahead of time as far as possible when you're designing your instructional material. So this is just trying to showcase what could be done. And I'm just lying on this MRI machine here, and and you can think of for other applications, if you want to look at those, what are the kind of things that you could actually do. Again, it's up to you how far you want to actually, how detailed you want to make. I know that would be scary to have somebody pointing a gun at you while you are inside this claustrophobic MRI machine. But anyway. Let's see. So I'm going to move to the next one, which is we did actually a product showcase for TVI Corp. That's a company that makes emergency response products, and let's go there. All right. So my intention here was, when I was giving a tour of this place, I was bringing in, folks who actually make those products as well, and I just wanted to illustrate to them how they could showcase their products. And what I did basically is just to go over to the website of TVI Corp. Again, all this effort is just to show people that you can end up having an environment where you are actually getting exposed to new emergency response products, and that's something that even the marketing folks of those companies are not even aware of, and it's just pointing the way. I mean, I hope that they will actually do it in a big way in the future, and so that when we are designing emergency response exercises, we should be able just to go over to their site and pick whatever, whatever thing we want from them and include it in our own exercise. And I would just, this is just an example where I was trying to showcase all their various products. And you can see that each of the tents, for example, has got a picture on the slideshow showing the real product in the real world. And this is, just the one that Kate was sleeping in. It's just a low pressure isolation chamber for patients that you want to move from one place to the other. So that's again, something that you would see a lot displayed if you go to conferences dealing with emergency preparedness. So if you think about it, if you try to imagine the amount of gas that you spend to carry all these products to the conference venues and have people see them, actually I'm not too sure, but I imagine that if you click on the picture posters, you will actually bring up the websites too. For those products, so you could actually go and see. But basically what I was trying to show that this is like cost effective, you save on gas, you can have a wide audience that will actually come and visit and see what you're doing. Okay, next we'll go to, well, that's just the hospital room. Actually, I have a machine that was actually filmed in here. It's basically a smallpox isolation room, and I had still trying to do a bulk kit here, so let me do this first.